Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to DATEABLE. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to another episode of DATEABLE.
And I'm always so happy to have a friend on our show. It's like always so fun getting stories from our friends when you don't know the entire story yet.
Yes. And I know you brought to me this guest today. Her name is Lauren, a friend of yours. And you were like, she's been through a 20-plus year marriage. She met her husband when they were very young, in their 20s. I guess not very young, but, by today's standards, pretty young.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
And, they've just had this evolution and different seasons, a different flow of, when they're close and when they're more independent. And we were like, let's explore it, because I think like a lot of times when we're dating, we don't really see what's going to happen in 20 years. Like it's all like focused on the now.
Yeah, and they're one of the few couples in my life where they've been together for this long and are actually happy together. And they've obviously gone through different phases of what a relationship could look like. But ultimately, when I look at them, I think, wow, they're kind of like the poster children for marriage. Like I would want something like this long term because they've really found a way to make the different seasons work and to work with each other.
What's an example? Because you obviously know them in person. Like, what's that moment that you're like, I look at this couple and I'm like, oh, they're like a good match. And do you think like that's your own bias coming through of like, this is good for me too? Or what's your take on that?
I think something I've found really refreshing from them is one, they are not afraid to say anything to each other, obviously with respect, but they are not like, oh my gosh, I can't say this in front of him or I can't say this to her. And also they don't talk about each other behind their backs because they're not afraid to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So whatever issues they're going through, whatever they're saying to me, they're also willing to say to each other. Right. And I think that comes with a massive amount of respect for each other. And those are kind of like the two refreshing characteristics I see in their relationship. But I think the third is, and you'll get to know Lauren. Lauren is type A. Through and through. She is very intense. She has a very strong personality. And for her to say, like, I found the person who truly embraces every aspect of me, who loves all of me, despite I know I have these quirks and I know how intense I can be, and he still loves me through and through because all he wants is to love me. Like that is also, wow, pedestal marriage stuff for me.
I do agree with you on that. I've talked to friends and I'm like, have you said this to them? Like, if you're saying it to me, have you said it to them? And if the answer is no, it's like, always go talk to them. So I do think there is a side of that that's really important, clearly. I think it's this conversation is interesting because I feel like there's this expectation that relationships kind of stay emotionally consistent, like throughout the whole span of it. I mean, I feel like this even happens early stages. Like you're in the honeymoon period and then there's this like rectification period of like, okay, we are different people. How are we going to work together? And I definitely went through this and I think it can happen for people at different times. It can go through, it can last different amount of years. Like I think for me, it wasn't years, but it was probably like a good maybe like 6 months to 1 year that we did work through a lot of stuff and had to come to the conclusion of like, it's okay that we're different. It's actually an asset that we're different instead of forcing people to like behave the way that you behave. Or, we always think that we're doing things right because it's the way we've been doing it, but that's arbitrary, right?
Yes. And then in this conversation, you've got, I think what Lauren really highlights is you've got the other person that's a different person. You've got you. And the third person is the relationship or the marriage. And I think in this conversation, she even talks about how she had all these preconceived notions of what this third entity is, what a marriage should look like, and how two people are supposed to mold into what the script of marriage is, and how that created so much strain in their marriage early on.
And we didn't even really go here, but I know from talking to you that they are childless by choice. choice. And that is there is a script of marriage that a lot of us think that we have to follow. So I do like that they're kind of figuring out what works for us and being like, no, that isn't what we want. This isn't the traditional path. And you'll hear this conversation. They are anything but traditional. I will say that, anything but traditional. But what I do like about it is even if you listen and you're like, that is not for me, it doesn't matter if it's for you. It's for them. And I think that's what we all have to do is like find what's our definition of marriage. And it's interesting, like even as she was talking, like there's some things that I'm like, oh, I've never really thought about that. Like we do just operate that way. Like it wasn't a conscious thing, but it's like how I've like found our definition of marriage, for instance.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Cool. Yes, it's a great conversation, so in line with our whole notion of DIY, the love life that works for you, but you got to figure it out.
In this whole thing too, we also really touch on like, what is that line of independence versus closeness? And I feel like this is something we've talked about for a couple episodes now, because it is like contradictory points of view, but it's what, finding that balance is kind of that sweet spot. And it's not always so easy to find that balance.
No. But if you're not in a relationship, but you want a platform to really talk through your thoughts and what you want in a relationship, our Studio app is the perfect companion for you because it is AI-enabled, trained by us through our 10 plus years of doing this podcast, our research, our interviews, all of the writing that we've done. And you can speak directly to this AI dating coach about what you envision what a marriage could look like or what an ideal relationship could look like.
Yeah, and if you've read our book, How to Be Dateable, you know that we really focus on this chapter of gaining clarity, of creating your dating North Star and your perfect partner equation of like, what is it that I want? So the perfect complement is, using that information into the AI dating coach and really like getting clear of what I am looking for. And again, recognizing that can change, but at least knowing what you want so you don't get sucked into someone else's life.
Yep.
Okay. Well, to find out more, howtobedateable.com for the book and studio.com/dateable for the coaching app, or you can find it all on dateablepodcast.com. Well, before we get into it with Lauren, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors.
Time to get comfortable with Avocado Green Mattress. Their certified organic mattresses are specifically designed to relieve pressure points, support your body the way it needs, and help you actually get the deep, restorative sleep you've been missing. Every mattress is made with thoughtfully sourced materials and built with real care, so you get incredible sleep night after night. I'm proud to say I can now tell the difference between something that's just marketed well versus something that's actually well made. Like if I'm spending that much time in bed, hopefully sleeping, but occasionally spiraling, I want the mattress underneath me to actually support my body. Am I spiraling? It feels like one of those grown-up purchases where you're like, oh yeah, this is what quality feels like. Avocado products are made, not manufactured, and thoughtfully crafted with real materials to deliver lasting comfort and support. Go to avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable to check out their mattresses and furniture sale. That's avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable. avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable. I feel like summer always makes you reassess your wardrobe a little bit, right? You suddenly want lighter fabrics, softer materials, pieces that look polished without trying too hard. And that's exactly why I keep going back to Quince. They make high-quality essentials like breathable European linen, washable silk, soft organic cotton, but without the insane luxury markup. I am literally dressed head to toe in Quince right now, Quince linen that is, and it's basically become my personality at this point. I've got the linen tank and the matching linen pants. It's comfortable enough to wear all day, but I still feel put together on calls, errands, dinner, and even recording podcasts. And their stuff is surprisingly affordable. Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Elevate your summer wardrobe. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/DATEABLE for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable.
Okay, let's talk about the different seasons in a relationship.
We often talk about dating in terms of wanting to get into a relationship. But then we don't talk about that relationship. What happens after you're in a relationship for a long time? And how do you sustain a healthy relationship? And today we're talking to our guest, Lauren, about the many different seasons that you could face in a long-term relationship and how to ride it out together. So welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to talk about my relationship. And, you don't usually have the opportunity all the time to really get deep into the things. So I'm excited.
We're so excited. And, Yue was telling me that you've been married to your husband. When did you meet? When you were 25? Or get married at 25?
No, we met at 24.
Okay.
We were working at a company together. We were working at American Express Financial, and we all working as friends. We were going out together as a group. We had a bunch of other people that we went to happy hour with, and we had one of those offices.
Good old days.
We were secretive about it. We were, at the time, back in the day, you didn't date people you worked with, and now I guess it's a little bit more accepted, but then it wasn't. So yeah, we met then. It was about 24, 23 years old, and then we made it official maybe about 2 years after we met. We were still friends and dating and other people. And then after that, we were pretty serious, and we've been together ever since. We ended up getting married 8 years after we started dating.
Okay.
So we definitely, took our
Took
time.
your time.
And how long have you been together, total, from the day you met to today?
So it'll be 22 years in November.
Okay.
Dang.
So we're looking at a relationship that spans 22 years. That's good.
Yeah, it's a long time. We just really liked hanging out together. That was it. At the time, there weren't as many apps. I don't think there were any
There were no
apps.
apps,
there,
no.
right? So
Maybe Match.com or the OG sites. Yeah.
Right. I think at the end of the day, it was, we both were well, we would just rather hang out with each other than anybody else. And so we're going to be in a serious relationship now. And that was it. And since then, there's been so many trials and tribulations. It's not been easy. There's been ups and downs. There's been times where one time in 2007, we took a little break, but for the most part, we've been together. But even during our marriage, there's been some changes where I've had more time alone. I've really haven't, and he wants more time alone. And sometimes we're right up each other's butts, having to do everything together, like we were during COVID and even some time after that. But there's been other times where I've actually spent many months, in Miami without him. He's been at our other house in Tampa, and he's gone to the cabin that we have. And so we do have these seasons where we take these, I don't want to say breaks, but just where we both are needing, our needs are met in other areas. And we're in a good place where we can share that with each other. And that's really helped us because things change,
That's not something you learn when you get into a relationship, that there are going to be different seasons and your needs are going to be changing. And how do you communicate that with your partner? But we're going to start from the beginning because this has been a very long journey and we want to hear all of the different seasons you've been through. But the first big one, you said you were dating for 8 years before you got married. So what was that transition like? Why did it take 8 years?
Well, I come from a family that I've seen a lot of divorce, over the years of both my parents were divorced, had been married 3 or 4 times each. So I thought to myself, everything's working. Why go the extra mile to get married? And we're good. We're happy. We're living together. And we were doing all the things. We're doing triathlons together. We're traveling. We were financially doing well. I don't know. I just didn't think it was something I wanted to pursue. I don't think he really was pushing it because he knew we were happy. And everything sort of changed when we decided to, it was more of a business thing, actually. Isn't that funny to say this, to be quite honest? We were leaving Ameriprise employee channel to start our own Ameriprise franchise, which meant we were going to be independent business owners. We were going to be running this business together, and we had been together 8 years. And I just said, let's just get married. Let's fine. Like it was a business transaction at the time. Like let's just get married because the clients will think it's better. It will seem more stable. Let's do it for everybody else, right? Like because everyone seems that they want to have that. Even though we know we're together and we love each other, we're, blah, blah, blah.
So it's like more like, oh, we're working with this husband-wife team. That sounds more stable.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Interesting. That's funny.
Yes. So this is how different the seasons are going to change because you're going to hear where we are today and you'll think that's just crazy how far we've come as deep as the love has grown from that point where it was more of a, well, this is convenient. This will be better for a financial picture for what client. And then my parents will be happier and your parents will be happier and everyone will be happier. And then my mom's husband at the time died. It was a very quick death. And Dave and I were like, well, we better hurry up and get married because what if one of our parents, weren't at the wedding and if it was one of his parents or my dad or we pushed it. We planned a wedding in 3 months. So from when he died in March, we were married in August. It was the absolute best day of my life. I thought it was just like going to be a party / just I was elated all day. I was the happiest I had ever been. It was the most beautiful wedding in Newport. And so we end up getting married. We buy a new house together because at the time I had my house, he had his condo. So now we're in this house together. We have this business together, powerful young couple together. We're going to work and make, money. And I would say 3 to 5 years in, I was like really miserable. And
wow. Okay, I want to go into that, but before we do, I also want to rewind a little too because I think there's
so many. We have so many questions.
We're going back there, absolutely. Don't you worry. But okay. So 8 years though, that's still a big time chunk that we're talking. Was like the whole time like carefree and fun and, or were there like different seasons within that 8 years? And did you guys live together ever? Were you always separate residences?
In those 8 years, we had not lived together, then we lived together, then we had not lived together.
Okay.
In those 8 years. And I, at the time, was in my 20s, so I was all over the place, partying, drinking just a lot and having these crazy fights at night, right? Like you're in your 20s and you're a lunatic. So that's really there was so many opportunities for him to leave, me to leave, but we just kept it going because we were like, we just didn't want to be without each other. We felt better when we were together than apart. So we were like, well, whatever, we'll just keep this going, right? But we did have ups and downs. So we lived together at first, and then we didn't live together because I felt like at the time he had never lived on his own. He had gone from living with his parents to like moving in with me, and I was like, well, he needed to have that experience of living on his own. So he ended up buying a condo, and that's what happened. So then when we got married, we ended up buying a house together. This was our first time working together and living together and a real married, we're married now, we were living together, working. But yeah, to back up, that 8 years was good, but there was a lot of like hiccups here and there too. Yeah. Do you want me to move on or you have any more questions about our dating life? Yeah, because our dating life was very tumultuous actually, but it was still, we were at a point that we knew we weren't going to be with anybody else, so that's why we're just going to move forward with this marriage thing.
I guess, maybe I do want to ask another question about your dating life now that we're here. Now that you use the word tumultuous, I got to ask something. When you look back on it, obviously you had these feelings of like, above all, we got to keep this going. Were there any moments that you actually considered not keeping it going, or like what was it that just kept you going, like despite down moments?
I think it was the down moments were that I'm the A type, I do everything, and Dave's the B type. He's laid back, and at the time I remember feeling like I was like his mom, always asking to do this or do that, and I wanted to be with someone in my head that was more going to be like a hunter with me, like A-type with me. And I think at some point I realized that my personality type was just not in alignment for a man that way, and that I was better off in a relationship with someone who was more laid back, because I
Right, like
just tend to.
opposites, compliments.
That was an aha moment for me, and I'm not exactly sure when that happened, but I remember just realizing that that was the type of person that would fit my needs, because I needed so much attention. I need so much emotional support. I need so much and a lot of the men at the time that I had dated or hung out with, or, knew from my girlfriends dating, were all about, their careers and their life. And for me, it was just like, that wasn't to work. I wanted someone who was going to be like all about me. And Dave was like that, I mean, that's just my personality. You've hung out with me, I'm all about like Lauren.
I do know.
Lauren show.
It makes sense to me, but in your 20s, it's a stage of discovery, and you don't really know what type is good for you yet. I mean, in those 8 years, were you dating exclusively with Dave, or did you date around too?
No, so I did not date exclusively the first couple years. I had dated other people. He sort of dated other people, but we didn't really talk about it. We were like friends in the first few years, right? We were friends, and So I had dated my chiropractor. I had dated an attorney.
Oh, yeah. Type A for sure.
I had dated older men in their 40s, right? So I was only like 23. And so
Oh, wow.
Dave to me seemed young, like he was just kind of figuring out his life. And I was so mature for my age. I felt I had in my mind that I was going to be with someone much older, more secure financially. And then there were a few times where I realized quickly that kind of a relationship was not going to work for my personality type. One time I ended up at the chiropractor's office. We were on a date or something, and I'm sitting out in the parking lot, and I had a meeting, and he was supposed to come down and bring his key or something. And long story short, he just took forever and said, well, I had patience. And I said, well, I had a meeting. And so do you think that your calendar is more important than mine? And he said, like, yes, actually. He was like, yes, like, because he pays, he paid for everything. And at the time I wasn't making that much money. I just started my, career. And so that wasn't for me. Like, I was like, well, I don't know. I just remember being like, I very appreciate qualities of Dave giving me attention and space also, and not being controlling, which was a big thing for me in my 20s. I was so independent. Oh my God. And if like I came home and someone for 1 second was asking like where I was and who was I with, and I would not be okay with that. I was traveling a lot. I was meeting people from all different men, women, right? So he was really, that was just his nature, not to be asking me, who am I been with, or what am I doing? And so I just knew that archetype, that like laid back type of person was right for me. And of course I enjoyed spending time with him because he like flows with me. If I say, oh, let's go to here, let's go to this, okay, just the way Dave is. He's chill. And I liked that. But yes, there's other sides of that I don't like about that archetype. Like, I have to tell him, like, did you call that person?
Yep.
I asked you to call 10 times. There's a lot on the other side of that too. But I just was at a point in my life where I knew it was like, what are you going to give up? You can't have it all. Like,
right.
What are you willing to? And I realized like nothing in my life was going to change. My goals at my business weren't going to change. My drive, nothing was going to change if this person had more money or more financial security, because I was very motivated personally in my world. So it felt like what my needs were it was very clear what was more important to me at that time.
Let's hold that thought because we have a quick message from our sponsors. If you've been listening to Dateable for a while now, you know that we're all about pursuing what works for you when it comes to dating, as long as you are intentional about it. The goal is to be honest about what you want. And sometimes that's casual dating or a fling. That's why we're so glad the app Fling exists if you aren't really in the market for a long-term relationship. It's time to remove the stigma too. Casual dating is absolutely a valid, confident choice if that's what you want at any age or life stage. The key is being aligned with your partner or partners. Fling is designed for women in mind. It's completely free to join for us ladies. You also get to choose who can see you, share photos privately, and keep things discreet, which gives you more control over the experience. So if you're looking to have a little fun while you're single, download the Fling app in the App Store or visit fling.me today. Again, download the Fling app in the App Store or visit fling.me today. Your home is more than just furniture. It's an extension of who you are, and the details matter more than you think. Like a rug. The right rug can completely transform how a space feels. And that's why I'm obsessed with my Ruggable. I went with this warm, neutral, boho-inspired design for my living room with earthy tones and a fun pattern. And it instantly made the whole space feel more intentional. Like, oh, someone put some thought into this. And what sealed the deal for me is that it's completely machine washable. Like my dog Mojo does not care about interior design, and neither does Red Wine, apparently. So I've thrown it in the wash and it comes out looking brand new every time. It's built for real life. Refresh your home at ruggable.com. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with promo code DATEABLE at ruggable.com. That's ruggable.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout.
I have a friend that your stories reminded me a little of theirs. And I think when you're in your 20s, and obviously don't know your relationship experience prior, but even if you had some, 23, it's like you didn't really have real adult relationship experience until your 20s, even if you had high school boyfriends. So I feel like sometimes it's hard to rectify, is this a good person for me? What am I even looking for? I think if someone is listening to this maybe in their 30s and 40s, they're like, oh, haven't you figured it out? But we have to go back to 20s mindset.
Yeah.
And none of us knew what we were doing. It was all trial and error.
Yeah.
Well, I still have friends that tell me about guys they're dating and this and that. And they're like, yeah, well, he doesn't really have this. And I said, I'll tell my girlfriend straight. I will call them out. It's like, you need someone who wants to listen to you because you call me all the time and you want to talk, but you need someone to listen to you. And this guy likes to go and listen to you and hang with you and let you talk. Who cares if he doesn't get the movie theater tickets ahead of time?
Right. I like that you were able to be like, this is the type of person I am, and this is what I need. And I think that, I agree that it doesn't necessarily magically solve itself when you get older, but I think, it is a discovery process and being actually, this is the most important thing and someone's not going to have everything. That is something we have to let go of.
But 3 to 5 years into this marriage, you're miserable.
Yeah,
Take
let's
us
go
to
back
that
there.
moment.
Oh my God.
What actually,
happened?
okay, sorry, before we go there, the 5 years leading up, were you feeling still in that ecstatic, in love, best day of my life feeling, or was it a gradual decline?
Well, I just felt I feel like the walls were coming in, on me in this little house, and we were working together, and I felt smothered. I felt undecided if I even wanted to be married. I felt I felt nervous about what this was going to look like for the rest of my life, and would I be happy?
Wait, how old were you at this point?
I was 31 when I got married. 31 and 32 when I got married. And I would say probably the second year, maybe not 5 years. It was the second year. Then people used to say to me, oh, the first year's the worst. You've heard that, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, this is normal.
Really? People say first year's the worst?
I think they did. I don't think it's as common anymore now that people are living together earlier. For me, when I got married, it literally feels like before. But I think back in the day, that was a very common saying because a lot of people didn't live together
because it's your first time.
Yeah, really a meshed life together. Yeah.
I always heard your first year is supposed to be magical.
Really?
It depends what you've been listening to.
I thought
propaganda.
It was hard. It was hard because you were just trying to figure things out or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
I think it comes down to your background going in and how enmeshed you were to begin with.
Yeah. Well, we were really enmeshed at that point because we were in this house,
every which way. Yeah.
We were doing everything together. And I think what happened was two things. I don't think that we communicated very well within the job environment. I think I was too short, aggressive at work. And then I would come home and be like, what do you want to do, dear? Like, honey. And he was still recovering from the way that I communicated at work, because that was just the way that I was used to running my business, which was a little bit curt, maybe short, aggressive. Is also, like I said, laid back. So there was a lot of things he would take his time on doing and work. And then at home, I felt pressured to have this marriage be like, come home, eat dinner every night together, that I have to do Thanksgivings at parents' homes versus do it, I started feeling like, I don't know that I want this to be the traditional version of marriage. But at the time, I didn't realize it. I ended up getting a meditation coach because I told my trainer at the time, I was like, I'm really not doing good. I feel like I should go get on medication. I'm crying in the morning. And he said, before you do that, go meet this guy and have him teach you how to meditate. And that just funny that he had recommended that, because Dave and I had just gone hiking in the Andean mountain to Machu Picchu. We did a big hike, and I ended up reading a book called When the Monk Sold His Ferrari. But long story short, I was like, okay, the great idea. I'll do that. So we go to this guy, and he teaches me how to meditate and shows me how to do some breathing in the morning. And he says to me, if you can't do 16 breaths every morning like this, then just don't come back here next week. He said, he shows me how to do this 16 breath technique. He says, just don't come back. So I'm like, oh no, I'm doing it. So I did it. He come back. So then I start going to this yoga person, help me meditate. And then he became almost like a therapist for Dave and I. So Dave starts going to this yoga guy. He starts learning how to meditate and breathe. When he started to this yoga guy was when we went partying and did real partying. So I was doing yoga at the end of the night, trying to fall asleep because I couldn't fall asleep. Oh, he goes, what is that? That looks so good for you. That looks so healthy. Anyway, he's decided that he would go to this yoga. And basically, he becomes our therapist and helps me save our marriage by telling me things that I really will never forget, and was the most influential person I feel like in our marriage, because he would say what does it matter what Dave is doing all day? What does it matter if Dave eating his Cheerios for an hour and reading the newspaper while you're in the office? I want you to, for the next week, not give a shit about what Dave is doing all week. Go on with your day and just do you. You do you. This is a long time ago. I didn't say you do you, but then, And he basically was like, you need to let go of the control of trying to get Dave to operate at your capacity, your function level, trying to get him to do this or this and this. And to be honest with you, I was frustrated that he wasn't as motivated as me or as quick to get whatever. You need to just
accept him.
Worry about yourself.
Yes.
Keep your eyes on your own mat.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So did you ever go to other therapists too, or was it really just this yoga guy that did it?
Well, because this yoga guy wasn't really intentionally a therapy session. He just started talking to Dave about letting go of control and the ego, and me too. And then that both of us are better off if we are not one trying to be like each other, that we're two people looking in the same direction, but that we have our individual lives and that we're moving together forward, in something, not that we're trying to change each other and trying to be this and trying to do that. And I have to tell you, my life was way better. My marriage was better. I was happier. I was meditating every morning. It really did make a difference. It completely changed my life.
Do you remember what you did differently after this? Was there any action that you took?
I just went back to pretending I was single. Remember how it was before, single, but I would just get up in the morning and go to yoga without waking him up. I would go to the office whenever I felt like it. It wasn't like I was ignoring him or anything. It wasn't, I was trying to get a flow back of things that I did and what I want to do based on my own rhythm, and leaving Dave to work at his own rhythm and do his own rhythm of his life and my rhythm of my life. And, and that was in 2000 and we got married in 2012. That was in 2014. And so for those 2 years, we were in that season of, we're going to be married, but things are going to be looking different. If I want to go down to Miami for the weekend, I'm going to go. If he doesn't want to go, he wants to go to here, or if he wants to be with his friends, or if I want to. So we really sort of became more independent like
Mm.
than we were when we first were married. We want to do everything together.
What I'm hearing is like there's this like marriage script happening of like we need to like
Yeah.
change the way we
Yeah.
operate because we're married now. And what
Yeah.
eventually you found is like, okay, we can be married, but we can kind of live our parallel lives and,
Yeah.
have our relationship still as a relationship. I guess like you were saying earlier that you've gone through all these different seasons where sometimes you wanted more closeness and more independence and vice versa. Were there other times after this that kind of set in that you were like, actually, I want to be spending all our time together and I don't want to be living this way?
So yeah, I'm going to tell you that. So in 2016, we had a house fire.
Oh,
and when
wow.
our house burned down, I ended up getting my own apartment. And Dave was living in another place. So we were actually living separate.
Oh, wow.
Still married, never talk about separating or anything. I felt like I was like almost a near-death experience in a way. I was like, I almost like, I don't want to say I almost died, but I was in the house with the fire. But long story short, after the fire, I said, I want to live in my own apartment on Bayshore. I want to run on Bayshore, which is like on the water here in Tampa. I said, I want to go to the grocery store. I want to cook my meals. I want to do my training. I want an apartment with nothing in it. I want to have like a minimalist kind of situation. And Dave is not a minimalist, right? He has got all kinds of stuff everywhere and like tools and this and that. We ended up doing that for about, I don't know, 6 months to a year.
And he was okay with it too?
Yeah, it was great.
Okay,
He was
you were
sleeping
both
over.
interesting.
Yeah, we were
Oh.
sleeping over. He was leaving. And then apartment comes up next to my apartment. And then now Dave is in this apartment.
Stop.
And I'm in this apartment in an apartment complex because we didn't have a house.
In the same complex,
Yes,
but
so we
separate
had
units.
2 units.
Was there any moment that you were like, we should just share a unit? Like from like a
No.
purely logical perspective? No, you were like, I like my own space. Okay.
I was so liberated by the amount of like having everything taken away from me, like no more clothes, no anything. I was so
Wow.
liberated by having like one pants and no TV and I just felt so good to have nothing to serve. And this is the first time in my life, I couldn't believe how much this fire changed me. But he had in his unit a million things. It looked like it was just jammed full of boxes and clothes. And I'd go walk in there and like he'd have one cat and I had the other cat. And I'd walk in and it was just like filled with things from the garage, from the stuff that he made that made it smell like smoke,
So did your family and like friends think you guys were separated?
So that's what. So that's what I was going to tell you. So I would have kept that going, but I was shopping at this lady's store. I used to go shop at this lady's store, and she said, "You're not going to be able to get away with that very much longer, Lauren, with your family." Like she basically said, like I wasn't going to be able to get away with two separate units. That I'm going to have to because the fire had been like a year since. We're still like doing this and I'm still like playing it off like fire thing, right? I mean, it was glorious. It was glorious. I was going to bed on my own schedule. He was going to bed late. Like he likes to go to bed late. Like I didn't want to watch TV at night. So he watched TV and whatever he wanted. And it was glorious. And so she said it. I felt like it was great. Anyway, she said it and we ended up buying a house together in 2018 or so.
Was this just purely for optics?
I think it was sort of for yes, it was at the time it was for optics and it was also because he needed a garage to do his scuba diving and things like that.
So all logical.
Yeah, it was all
guys are very
it was so
logical.
weird.
Yeah.
I was like, so we get to this house in 2018 and we get a house that has a split floor plan because intentionally I was gonna like be on this side, I was gonna be on this side.
Throughout all of this, do you still feel like close to him? Like even though you're like living so parallel, like has your bond changed at all?
Well, that was then, and now you're right. We were still close, but not as close as we are now because we slept sort of in separate rooms, and we would connect and we would go on dates, and that's the way it was. Then in 2018, I ended up going to do some plant medicine and Peru and ayahuasca. Long story short, I come back and I'm just like, I absolutely love my husband. I could never in a million years be away from him. I was like completely changed. knowing that what I know after that, the community is important to me, like all of the things. And we end up going through COVID together.
Wait, Lauren,
And
you gotta tell the ayahuasca story
oh,
though.
the ayahuasca
Oh, there's a
story.
story. Okay.
What
Okay.
was it about that made you feel
So
this
that
love
was
for
it.
Dave?
Done. Yeah, the ayahuasca thing was like a game changer in our marriage because it didn't even work for me the first 3 nights, but the fourth night it worked, that the ayahuasca medicine, and I had this dream that Dave is floating in the river carving something, and I'm asking him, "Where are we going? Where are we going?" And he says, "Nowhere, we're just floating." And I was like, "Oh, okay, for how long?" Right? Because as you know, Dave and I'm
Yeah.
the one that's like a go-go, and he wants to, he's
Uh-huh.
a stump. Like he likes to be stumpy, like in the ground, like wants to be in one place and doesn't want to move around. And I want to meet everywhere. And that was the part that was, always a challenge because anyway, so he goes, "We're just going to float." And I was like, okay. And then this plane comes down and like picks me up and takes me down to Miami, takes me here, brings me back, and takes me and brings me back. And basically the picture that I had, the awareness, the aha moment at that time of what our marriage looked like is that it is okay for our marriage to be different than other people. It is okay. Our marriage is not going to look like other people's.
Yeah.
I need to stop trying to fit into that mold. And that's what's making me miserable. My husband's good with whatever our arrangements are. He doesn't care. It's that I felt like I had to like get a house to be like what my clients would accept because they're older. And what if they found out we lived in separate places and this and that? So that I get out of that whole 2018 ayahuasca thing. Like, I love you. I will never like want to be without you. You're my person and whatever. But I am going to get an apartment in Miami. So I get an apartment in Miami and I decide that we're going to float. We're going to hang out in this house. But then when I feel like it's time for me to be alone or I want to like read or journal or go do yoga, like I'm getting on a plane, I'm going and I'm going to come back. He gave me the space to do that. And for that, it was like 2 years of that going on. And we talked about it. I was like, this is what I need. I still want to have my alone time so I can recharge. And he loved it because he would go in the garage, he'd make his wood things. He would be doing his own thing those weekends. And it wasn't like weeks at a time, maybe 48 to 72 hours, like maybe once a month, maybe once every other month, wasn't all the time. And once I had that space, I didn't really even want it anymore, Like I would miss them. I would get there and I'd miss my cats and I would want to come home but I had the space, and I could take it whenever I wanted it. And he had his garage, he had his space. So it's like we had our place together and then I had like my like reprieve. And then 2020 came and I felt very vulnerable. After that, for some reason, I felt, I don't know, I was having anxiety about COVID. I was not the same. So those years, things changed. I didn't like being alone all by myself down in Miami with the world being the way it was. I was nervous. I was anxious. So here I am, this Miss Independent, right? Needs to have her own place. As everything comes crawling back over to Dave. Hey, like, will you come with me? Can you come down to Miami with me? Like asking him to be like with me all the time because my mom had a stroke in 2022. My grandmother was in a nursing home. We were going through COVID. I was like not doing okay. Like I lost a lot of my yoga community in Tampa. Like I couldn't go to the yoga classes here in Miami. I was just not myself.
Right. That time was a tough time. So what I'm hearing though is you're like, okay, the benefits of human connection, the benefits of a relationship, I'm seeing them now. How did that change your relationship? And are you still like in that level of closeness now or have you reverted back? No, you haven't reverted back.
No. After those big changes that happened with like real death, real medical problems in the family, like real anxiety for me personally, to have an anchor, to have my husband to really support me. Like, thank God that he endured and stuck through the ups and downs, and me too, of like our feelings of, because when that happened, to have that kind of like richness in our relationship, that marriage, like that commitment, strong commitment for each other when I was having this difficult time in my life, it really increased the value that I put on him in the marriage. Like it really changed that. And I realized at that moment that the grass is greenest where you water it the most.
Yeah.
And since then, my marriage has been the most important part. And we nurture that all the time. I'm sad it took me that long to come to this realization of ups and downs and independence. And I think for him, it would have been probably nicer to easier. And maybe I had this awakening earlier on in our marriage, but I didn't know what I know now. I didn't know that I would ever get to a point in my life that I would really need that level of support and love and nurturing. And he did. He was there. He was there. I mean, a lot of people might not have been, but he was. When I came, I said, I don't want to be alone. Like, can you come with me? Can we go together? Can we do this? Can we do that? So we ended up, just making some adjustments, and he ended up being great with it. But I also now know that he has things he wants to accomplish. He can't just be with me all the time, right?
Well, I mean, that's my question, Lauren, is it feels like you've been the one to instigate all of these changes in your relationship based on your needs.
Right.
Did Dave have needs, and was he able to voice them, and were you able to adjust to his needs as well?
So his needs have been mainly regarding respect for him and me being nice. So he was like, whatever you need to do so that you come back and be respectful and nice. And also, I have created support for him on his spiritual journey. I've created like opportunities and support for him to work on his creative woodworking. Like I'm very aware of that. I make sure that he gets that, and also not he gets that, but that I'm providing like space, for him to do that. He always wants just for me to be happy, and it's really like, he wants me to be happy, and also he's happy whether I'm around or not.
I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners. If you're someone whose book talk algorithm is basically just dark romance recommendations, I have one for you. Losers Part 1 and Part 2 by New York Times bestselling author Harley LaRue. I love this book because it transported me back to high school. It's a dark romance that starts with a former queen bee reconnecting with the 4 guys she used to bully in high school. What begins as revenge turns into something way deeper. Found family, healing, queer representation, kink exploration, and honestly some of the most emotionally layered relationships I've ever read in this genre. It was such a page turner, I could not put it down. The relationships between all the characters are what made the story so addictive. And if you're a physical book collector, the new deluxe editions are gorgeous. They have stenciled edges, exclusive fan art, and the foil covers connect to create one complete set. You can find Losers Part 1 and 2 by Harley LaRue wherever books are sold in print and in ebook. For all my fantasy romance lovers, there is a book for you to check out called Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa K. Rorick. It was an instant New York Times bestseller and started as a huge indie book talk hit. So if you've seen people raving online, this is the book. If you love dark romantasy, this one delivers. It's got fae, dragons, gods, shifters, vampires, basically everything you want, plus a really unique twist with modern technology woven into the fantasy world. It truly felt like you were being transported into a new world as I was reading this, which to be honest was the relief I needed for the crazy world we're living in. What I really liked too was that this series emphasizes mental health as the female main character is battling depression and anxiety, which ends up being a major plot point for the book. It's on sale now, so if you've been looking for your next fantasy binge, this is it. You can find Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa K. Rorick wherever books are sold in print and ebook.
We talk a lot on Dateable about being present in dating, but let's be real. That's hard when your phone is basically a third wheel. Enter Brick. Brick is a simple device that helps you put your phone down when you actually want to be in the moment. You just pair your phone to Brick and it locks you out of distracting apps, and suddenly you're not doom scrolling while your date is telling a story about their childhood dog. Whether you're on a first date, having a real conversation, or just trying to stop checking your phone every 30 seconds, Brick creates boundaries with your tech without asking you to delete everything or go full digital detox. Dating is about connection, not notifications. So if you want to be more present and honestly more attractive, check out Brick. Go to getbrick.app/dateable to get 10% off. That's getbrick.app/DATEABLE to get 10% off.
I know obviously we're talking about seasons in a relationship, but I'm hearing too that it just took time for you to kind of go through and figure things out for yourself of the importance and benefit of being like so enmeshed with someone. And it's interesting because I think a lot of our listeners weren't in relationships since they were 23. They have, been single for a while. They've been kind of doing that alone time that you talked about without a relationship. So it's almost like you were working through some of the stuff that other people have worked through single, but while in a relationship is what I'm hearing. I guess my question for you is do you think now that you have worked through that and you've recognized, I really want to be enmeshed in with this person, do you think you'll ever go to another season where you're independent again? Or do you feel like now that you've got in there, this is where you'll stay? I know it's hard to answer because we don't predict the future.
It's not hard to answer. It's not, because it just happened recently where I have a client who lost her spouse unexpectedly at 50, at 58, pretty young. I went on vacation with Dave and I said to Dave, what our new season is now that we're working on as in our marriage is, this is serious too. This is how well we do communicate about everything. We're out on vacation. I just start crying. And I said, I have to work on being more emotionally independent, because if you died, I would not be, you're my person. You're emotionally who I go to for everything when I'm upset or sad or, you're my everything. And I said, I want to start to kind of work through my shit on my own. Problem solving is also part of what Dave does. I bring different things to the relationship, and he just brings different things, but some of my own emotional, things and way I get nervous and my hypochondria and this and that, he's there to support and help. And I'm there for him to make good financial decisions and investments. But I said to him, well, we have tons of life insurance, right? So he's going to get financially and guidance wise, but I don't have an emotional support insurance policy.
That's interesting.
Who's going to do that for me?
Because you're feeling a level of codependence now.
Because
you've become enmeshed in this relationship, which is something you were working towards because you were two on the other side. Mm-hmm. But now you're saying we got to balance this out because I can't be this codependent on you emotionally.
If something happened or anything after 2020, I really leaned in and it's great, but there is a little bit of codependence now. And now we've realigned it. And, even with him, he's even said, that he does want to spend more time on his creative things. Okay. He wants to things on his own. And he for example, for summer solstice, I wanted to go to Mallorca for this Kundalini thing. And he's not really into Kundalini. And I was like, yeah, but don't you want to go? And things like that. I should just be able to go. Okay. And I should just go, if I want to go without dragging Dave, because he'd rather be doing his wood projects and stuff. And he'll go and he'll have a good time. But right. He probably would be better personally doing something at home or with his family in St. Pete, where he doesn't really, I went to sound school recently. I'm like, do you want to go? And he says yes, but I think he just thinks it's cool. But to do some of these things, of course, he likes it. But I think at the end of the day, he might be able and wanting to do some things on his own. So that's what we're working on right now, is getting me back into a place where I'm a little bit less, dependent on him, as far as it's just getting on your comfort zone too. Easier when you're with someone to help you with your, vice versa, two people helping each other navigate through trips or life or grocery stores and this and that. A little bit of atrophy. So you want to kind of make sure that you're still able to hang a painting or do things on your own.
Hearing through all of this is this balance of independence and closeness. And how do you strike the balance of interdependence where you're still, a functioning human being. You could do what you need to do and you don't need to drag someone to something they don't want to do. But your preference is always to have them and you don't want to live totally separate lives. Outside of you just being okay, I'm going to go take this trip. I know he doesn't want to do it. I'm going to do it anyways. Are there other things that you both are doing that kind of gives more of this balance that allows for you to have your individual needs again, but also not lose each other in the process like in the past?
It's hard because once you've been together for so long, you just get used to hanging out together too. You get so used to each other's modes. But to answer the question, coaching and leading to one another so that they can, for example, Dave being able to pull up some of our investment stuff online and our bank. He's how many times we've gone over it and he wrote down all the passwords. And then I say, where are the passwords? And he's like, it's on the notebook. I'm like, well, where's the notebook? Well, I don't remember. I don't know where the notebook is, So getting Dave to use ChatGPT on his phone, he just put Venmo on not too long ago, ChatGPT, so also, and him helping me too to be more independent, but not criticizing one another about it either, being mindful of leading each other, helping one another be more independent on some of the activities that we've or things that we've done. But I think that has been helpful because you could also criticize one another for not being able to do those items anymore or function in that way. I think that's really going to be an opportunity for us over the next few years too, to become both more independent.
But recognizing independence, I think for some people, they would define it as being independent in a life on your own, being able to function in life. But you're saying what you're bringing is different sort of independence. You can bring that in your relationship, but Dave brings this independence of nervous system regulation that you're not able to do on your own yet. And he can kind of usher you through that because that feels like it's emotional independence, which is not something we talk about in relationships. So I actually find that really fascinating that you're trying to get to a place of emotional independence.
Yeah, emotional independence, you're right, because that's hard on him. I shouldn't say it's hard on him. I think it's also kind of natural. I think I was at a seminar, I was at a retreat this weekend, I told you, UA, where it talks about the male's rhythm being daily rhythm, right? With the testosterone levels go up in the morning and they come down. Where a woman is on a luteal cycle where a woman is usually, they're all over the place as far as you're expansive, really the first 2 weeks of your cycle, you want to be out and talking. And then when you're on your cycle, you really want to retreat. And, there's all these different emotions and levels, and the male, and I don't know how true this is, but I think it is true in our marriage, the male holds the container for this space, right? So I think Dave has done a great job of holding the container for a lot of my emotional ups and downs and, throughout the month, throughout the years. Yes, for the nervous system regulation, a lot more ability to let those feelings come in and out without being soothed, right? Because if Dave's not here, I'm going to have to do that myself. And I've asked him to help me through that training process of not going to him for the soothing of when feelings come up that I'm not sure how to navigate and process. I appreciate the container. I do. I love the container. He's done an amazing job with it and staying firm and even keeled through the ups and downs of my emotional roller coaster. And especially now I'm perimenopause, right? I don't know. That's another thing that I'm sure
I got you. Yep.
Hold that. But there's a new shift now. And it's a shift because we're going into a different season in our life. Now we're heading into our midlife season where we're also our sexual preferences and are grateful. I didn't end up marrying someone that was significantly older. It works out good because we're also dealing with sexual changes the same too, and we're we're also trying to figure out what does that look like how do we navigate through these next few years and stay intimate and feel that we're intimate with one another, even if the sexual intimacy changes. And that's also been a thing now where I have had to express if I don't feel sexual, that doesn't mean that he's not loved, right? If I mean desired by me. And that's also something too, that's just this new part of our marriage where I'm like, okay, well, this is interesting, but it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of us talking about these things and bringing this stuff up. And I guess I'm not afraid to have the conversation. And I'm not afraid to bring up that stuff because I like working through these things. And so we've had people here and there facilitate through therapy sessions like we've had that maybe once or twice in marriage. And actually, we do it and we're good. It helps if you're not able to do the communication. But him and I have been able to, but that's our next stage of our marriage is try to figure that out.
I mean, this whole conversation has just showed like how evolving relationships are. Like you've had like 20 relationships like in the like 20 years, you know? And I mean, that I think is like my biggest takeaway is like we really need to be in constant communication with our partners and not assume we know people because who they were 20 years ago are not who they are now. And I loved like the points that you made about, you know, what's that balance between independence and closeness and not trying to fit into a box of this is how marriage should work. And it made me think about my marriage too. And it's like there's a lot of places that we are really enmeshed and there's a lot of places that we are independent. And I like this idea of like emotional dependence too, because, you know, when you do find that person, it is easy to be like, you know, this person is my everything. But like the truth is in life, like nothing is a guarantee for the rest of our lives. Like the true balance is like, okay, I'm with myself for the rest of my life, but also the beauty is letting other people in. And I don't want to like remove that benefit of the types of relationships I can have in life because, you know, I'm only for myself. So that's kind of the evolving, I don't know, teetering I see as like, you know, we work through our own stuff and then also in relationship.
Yeah. It's so good to have that support that you both are able to do that together and grow together as a couple and watch each other. And the love that we have for each other is all that really matters. And if it's not about love, it has to be all about love. Like it has to be. And some of these experiences like showed us that as a couple, all the little things that we used to like nitpick and worry about. I mean, it's not, you know, now it's just a whole different relationship. It's a gratefulness and appreciation that we even can wake up together and be together every day. Yeah. And we figure all the rest out.
Gives you great perspective.
Yeah.
And also that's my biggest takeaway is you have to name the seasons that you're in a relationship. Like you can't just be going through a season on your own and not let your partner know. Like I think it's so important to communicate that. This is a season where I'm feeling more expansive, I'm feeling more independent. But I do wonder, and we don't have time to get into this on this episode, but this is for everybody listening. What do you do when you're both in different or opposite seasons? Right. How do you navigate through that time? And I have some theories about how you can coexist in independence and closeness together. But that's something for a couple to really talk about because I can imagine it can be a very complicated time in a relationship. But I appreciate that this conversation at least brings up the reason to be intentional in these seasons and then also to communicate that with each other.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing so much of your story. I mean, we really vulnerable and just so much out there. So really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you, ladies. I really am honored. Really, that you asked me to do this, and I'm just so grateful. It was so nice to remind myself about the journey of this beautiful marriage.
And it's a reminder too for people dating. I mean, I feel like I did not know half of this when I got into a relationship of just like, you know, I feel like we always think dating is the hard part. And it is hard, not undermining that, but it's all hard. It's all hard in different ways. Yeah. Relationships and being with other people is hard, but it's also not an excuse. It's not a reason to like not do it either. Like it is the greatest gift of our lives.
It's so good. It is great. The compromise though, right? So it's
always,
but it's worth it. But it's worth it. But all right, ladies, thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Wrapping up this episode, stay dateable.